goes. Yes. He confesses he's about a minute late. It's not like him at all, is it? Well. He was goofing around here with his friend. We're talking and got carried away. Anyhow, good morning, my dear friends, and welcome to the midweek, Wednesday morning edition of Gudday Grenada. I'm it, he, Georgie Porgy, Geo Bear, whatever you care to call him. And as always, we got a good program as always. However, this morning, I don't know how much of a surprise you can say it is because you're already seeing that there on the website. That so and so is going to be in here this morning. But yeah, it's a surprise because you didn't know until just a few minutes ago, right? We'll get to her in just a wee bit. All the talk about Mount Pure. Oy, oy, oy. This thing continues and continues. And yesterday there was a court hearing, and the decision was sort of made. I don't think it's absolutely final yet, but it looks like we're about to see the direction in which this whole thing is heading. And it's also going to explain what we're going to show you this morning. Will also explain how this whole thing came about. Yesterday, the parties appeared in a courtroom, and that was because Mount Pure had filed an injunction, saying, hey, it's not right to exclude certain providers from selling their products at Spice Mass events. The attorney for Mount Pure actually dropped by here to see me last night, and I cornered him and got him to spend a few minutes explaining to me why they went into the courtroom in the first place, what the outcome was, and what's likely to happen from here on in. I am referring to Mr. Ruggles Ferguson. So yeah, Fergie is going to be part of the whole kit and caboodle this morning. So stick around for that. Then I also have it's a story that was published on the GrenadaBroadcast.com website yesterday, and it's captioned "The High Price of Corruption." Mm-hmm. I'm just about sick and tired of hearing about corruption. The whole darn world is corrupt, quite frankly. And it's very frustrating for those of us who would like to see things done in a certain way. Um, we, excuse me. Why is he laughing in the middle? Oh, yeah, folks. Somebody just stepped into the studio here. Yeah. Well, you're gonna see her in just a minute. Um, didn't step in; she waltzed in. Yeah. So yes, we're gonna have the national report for you. Maybe I'm really not sure because I am so pumped up about the guests that I have in here this morning, and we have so much to talk about. I thought, let's just let the GIS take a little break. They're all queued up. They're all queued up here and ready to go. But I thought, hey, let's take a little break, okay? We don't often have the honor of having, actually, these two people meeting for the first time. Um, but I think it's important enough that we allow them to headline this week, okay? So, what is George really referring to? He's referring to our final segment this morning, in which you're going to see our regular Sherron Roberts. Sherron comes in every Wednesday morning, and boy, we usually have a hoot. But this morning, she is going to be joined by a young lady. She's no stranger to you folks, at least a lot of you guys and gals. Join us on Thursday night for a program we call We Chat. It's a regional hookup, if you will. And the lady's name is Margaret Francis. Margaret's been a friend of mine now for a number of years. I think many of you may recall when I used to do the Sunday program on the road. I used to take the month of July off. I did that until about, must be about 8 years ago. I don't know. I used to take the month of July, my laptop, jump on an airplane, go to New York, Toronto, Montreal, and London, all right, and do the program. And on a visit to New York, we actually did the program in the backyard of a friend of mine. Many of you know his name is Cecil Belfont, the Flying Turkey. Man, what a blast that was. We were sitting in his backyard. In the middle of this backyard, he had this huge tree. I don't remember what kind of tree it was, but, and by the way, he's cut it down. And when he cut it down, he sent me pictures showing me this whole process, brought tears to my eyes because it was such a perfect setting. We were sitting outside doing this program, all right? And one of the people Cecil invited to be a part of the program was this young lady you're going to meet this morning, and we've been friends since. We have been friends since. Margaret. Margaret happened to make a pretty unexpected visit to Grenada this week. And because she's here at the same time that Sherron is in, I thought let's bring them together because Sherron had expressed a desire to actually meet Margaret some time ago. So, well, it's going to happen this morning. So, yeah, you can saddle up and get ready. It's going to be a good one. All right? Now, that's going to take place after we take care of routine business. Or should I say hi to you folks on online there first? Huh? Yeah, I think I'll say good morning to you guys first. Yeah, let's hold on a sec. Yeah. Benedict Cador is the first man up this morning. Well, you beat a whole lot of other people, Benedict. Fitzroy Adams is saying good morning. And John out there in Kayaku, Oswald Darbo, Pele Darbo. John Bruno out there in Carriacou as well. Nishan Noel is with us. Anthea is on, she's on this morning. And Sherry Wilson, all there this morning. They're all there this morning. So let's get down to brass tacks. All right, folks. Word is out on the street that Mount Pure, the bottled water company, they have won the first round in the battle to get their product on sale at the upcoming Spice Mass events. They had recently filed an injunction to point out the unfairness of the statute which gave their competitor, Glenelg, exclusive rights to sell bottled water at this year's Spice Mass events. And the court yesterday upheld that injunction. Last night, I spoke with the attorney who represented Mount Pure, Ruggles Ferguson, no stranger to you guys, and had him explain what brought on the injunction and the sidebar fracas which occurred at the office of the Spice Mass CEO last week. Here is Ruggles.
But just to give some background, Montpure, back in September 2018, had written to Spice Mass Corporation expressing an interest to be a sponsor for this year's carnival. The letter was acknowledged, but based on their instructions, there was there was a response acknowledging, and Spice Mass Corporation indicated that they would get back to them. Spice Mass Corporation did not get back to them, and they heard nothing further about sponsorship. And in July, there was an announcement that Spice Mass was inviting persons who wished to be vendors at the carnival activities to come forward and register so they can get the necessary license to sell. And sometime on July 9th, Spice Mass Corporate, Moncpio attempted to register as a vendor, at which point they were told that GRENADA, a competitor, is the sponsor, and therefore Moncpio activity water could not be sold at the Spice Mass activities. And those Spice Mass activities included a sale of water on the road on Carnival Monday and Tuesday. And as we are aware, Spice Mass Corporation controls the major activities of Carnival. The Moncpio also gave permission to the employees who wish to sell the water as a private business over the Carnival period. They were permitted to do so, and one such person applied. And a condition of the license was that he could not sell Moncpio water, given that the competitor was the main sponsor. So that's basically the background to it. We made an application on behalf of Moncpio for what you call judicial review of the decision of Spice Mass Corporation. There is a category of claim called judicial review, where the court has supervisory jurisdiction over public bodies, public officials, public bodies. And in judicial review proceedings, the court is concerned more with process, the following of due process. So, for example, was the decision unlawful? Did the public body follow the correct procedures? Was the decision of the public body irrational, that no reasonable tribunal will come to the same conclusion? These are the kind of issues in judicial review proceedings. But in order to bring judicial review proceedings, you first have to apply to the court for leave or permission to bring those proceedings. And applying for leave, you would get permission if you can show the court that you have an arguable case. So the hearing today was leave or permission to apply for judicial review. The court heard the arguments and granted leave to bring judicial proceedings against Spice Mass Corporation. The court also gave two interim forms of relief. Interim meaning that they will be in place pending the hearing and the application of the judicial review proceedings. One is an injunction restraining Spice Mass Corporation from including in their contracts a term that effectively excludes the sale of Moncpio water at Spice Mass activities. And two, they also gave an interim declaration declaring that the exclusion of Moncpio water would violate the provisions of the Public Procurement Act. So essentially what we are saying is this: Moncpio supplies water. Moncpio expressed an interest to be a sponsor for Carnival, and there must be a proper selection process that is open and transparent, that allows each person or each business the opportunity, and that's what's important, the opportunity to be a sponsor. And the problem is the exclusive nature of the arrangement. So this is not just a sponsor where you can announce and promote the competitor's water. This is a contract in which you say not only you promote the competitor's product, but you exclude Montpure in the context of all of this. And we are saying that the Public Procurement Act promotes, not stifles competition. That's the philosophy behind it. You operate from a level playing field, so effectively what should have happened is that there should be bids, and you invite bids, people tender, and ultimately Spice Miles Corporation will be the winner. Because what was disclosed in court today, again, is that the level of sponsorship is $12,000. In fact, Montpure expressed shock. $12,000 cash and, of course, water and so. But in return, you get the exclusive right to sell all your water. And you know the most important commodity in Carnival is water. Man, woman, and child drink water, and after that might be beer. But water comes first. So effectively, to exclude them over the period when they have invested so much on it, we say it's unfair, and it's really a breach of the fundamental provisions of the Public Procurement Act.
Bottom line, will Mount Pure be selling its water at Spice Mass events this year?
But there's nothing that prevents it from doing so. The matter is not finally determined, but there is a question of, and that's the important question, the court has not determined it, but it's up to the individuals, based on the declaration that the court has given, that you cannot include that in the contract, and you ought not to. Then that's a matter ultimately that will be determined by the court. But in the meantime, let's see what Montpure chooses to do in the circumstances.
All right, so there you have it. That was Ruggles during a short visit. We shot that last night at about 8:30. He was on his way home from the office, and I said, "Yeah, hey, pop by here. Let's hear what went on today." And that was it. Donna is saying good morning, Gigi and Mr. Ferguson. Well, Donna, yeah, like you just heard, that was shot last night, so he's not here. But I'll tell him that you said good morning. Kipling saying good morning, and John here says Margaret is escaping the New York heat wave. By the way, speaking about Margaret, let me, just in case you guys, eat your heart out, guys. When last have you had two women come and sit in the studio with you, huh? Take a look. There she is, Mags. And that face is familiar because Mags is routinely with us on McWe Chat. Are you going to be joining us on McWe Chat tomorrow night? Yeah. Okay. She's going to be joining us. And because she is here, I'm going to see if I could con her into coming in here rather than, doing it on her iPad, which she normally does. Now, that's Margaret. But take a look at our regular. Look at that one. Ain't she gorgeous? Ain't she gorgeous? Huh? Getting gray like Georgie Porgy. Yeah? Hey, I love my gray hair. Sign of wisdom. All right, folks. Now, here's a piece which appeared in this week's edition of Heartbeat. And I quote, "The NDC prides itself on being a party of decency and high ethical standards in and out of office. Many criticisms are leveled at the NDC. None are concerned with corrupt practices or abuse of state resources while in office. Unfortunately, same cannot be said for the NNP. For the cumulative 20 years during which the NNP under Keith Mitchell has governed Grenada, there has never, ever been a period without scandals and corruption. Even in this period, when Mitchell seems bent on improving his image in the interest of legacy, scandals and corruption continue to plague him and those around him. For the people of any country, the cost of corruption is very high. Grenada is no exception. In his message to mark World Anti-Corruption Day on December 9th, 2018, Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, labeled corruption an assault on the values of the United Nations. He said that corruption robs societies of schools, hospitals, and other vital services. It drives away foreign investment and strips nations of their natural resources. Every year, corruption accounts for about 5% of global GDP. That represents a loss to economies globally of monies that could otherwise be spent on people development. It is a source of deep concern for the NDC that a sizable portion of our population appears not to have put the cost of corruption under the NNP into its proper perspective. Using the global estimate of 5% of GDP, and we suspect in our case it's much higher, with a GDP of 3.2 billion EC dollars in 2018, Grenada would have lost 160 million EC dollars to corruption last year alone. It boggles the mind that using the percentages released by the United Nations, Grenada is estimated to have lost $160 million to corruption in 2018 alone. This staggering sum could have been applied to pay for better health care, including commencement on the teaching hospital the NDC had promised, proper treatment for cancer, hypertension, diabetes, purchasing medical equipment and supplies, on education to purchase books for the school book program, and eliminate the school fees and other charges that parents are being made to pay. Also, on employing more young people, on investing in agriculture, and so much more. If corruption cost the Grenadian economy $160 million in 2018 alone, just imagine the total cost of 20 years of corruption under Keith Mitchell. It is time for our people to open their eyes to these realities. The abuse of cell phone services paid for with taxpayers' money by NNP activists, stooges and employees, the likes of Sheldon Scott, is the type of corrupt practices that all segments of our society should openly condemn. By his own admission, Scott's abuse alone is estimated to have cost us $840,000 because he has been wrongly using the service since 2016. Just imagine, for a moment, what such a hefty sum could do for some poor Grenadian families. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. The United Nations insists that governments, opposition parties, civil society, the private sector, the religious community, and anti-corruption advocates must all take responsibility for fighting corruption. It is therefore disheartening to hear the deafening silence coming from these sectors of our society when such gross corruption is exposed. It means that many of the key voices are failing to stand up for the vulnerable people of our country. It is important that the above-mentioned sectors unify in fighting corruption. The promotion of improved education, access to justice, health care and public health, jobs, and overall improvement in the quality of life will all help to beat back corruption. Grenada signed on to working towards attaining the UN-sanctioned Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, by 2030. These goals include no poverty, zero hunger, quality education, good health and well-being, reduced inequality, decent work and economic growth, peace, justice, and strong institutions. These are the SDGs that our government promised us and the other countries of the world by 2030. Can we honestly say that our government is likely to attain these goals in the next 10 years? The UN identifies corruption as the biggest impediment to countries attaining the SDGs. In light of the present level of corruption in our country, think about that, Grenada. In addition to signing on to the SDGs, Grenada, under Keith Mitchell, has also signed 2 anti-corruption treaties. The Inter-American Convention Against Corruption and the UN Convention Against Corruption. It is clear to us in the NDC that Mitchell only signs these treaties and agreements to impress the outside world and to gain access to certain funding. He and his cabal do not care about the high cost their corrupt practices inflict on our country, nor are they interested in attaining the SDGs. The NDC stands ready to lead the fight against corruption in our country. In that regard, we have this week written to Her Excellency, the Governor General, calling for an inquiry into the cell phone scandal. We've also written to the Commissioner of Police, the Director of Public Prosecutions, and the head of the Financial Intelligence Unit, calling for a criminal investigation into the matter. We intend to expand our call to other persons and organizations locally and beyond relating to this and other matters of corruption in Grenada. We call on other responsible sectors and organizations to join us in that fight. We must unite to save our beloved Grenada. That's the text which appeared in this week's edition of the NDC Heartbeat. If you visit the site, you will also see the letters that were written to both Her Excellency, the Governor General, and the Commissioner of Police. All right? Time's running by, 29 minutes after the hour, but before I take my first break here, you heard yesterday that Sheldon Scott had accepted liability for those grossly inflated telephone and data bills, which you and I have been paying for. And he has gone one step further. He has now written to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance to work with him on a repayment plan. Okay? I played that for you, I think it was yesterday. Let me share with you a comment which appeared on the GRENADABROADCAST.com website. I saw this last night, and as soon as it did, it jumped out to me, and I thought, got to share this with you folks. All right? It comes from somebody named Bob. It says, "This is not the only issue at play here. At the very minimum, fellow Grenadians, the following must be done, since what occurred is outright fraud and embezzlement. 1. There should be an independent audit of the phone bills for the period in question, that's 2016 to 2019, to ascertain exactly the amounts in question. I'm sure it's much more than $70,000. 2. Formal charges should be brought against Scott and a judgment in the court of law to ensure repayment and jail time, if not repaid. 3. There should be an explanation as to what services were consumed for the data used. That is, was it for the NNP's party work, pornography, etc.? 4. A review of other services that Scott may have availed himself of illegally. 5. Since Scott is a politically exposed person, a review of any possible breach of the Integrity in Public Life Act and legal disclosures that he would have made under penalty of law. This is not a simple matter where he can just admit guilt and ask to repay. Much more is at stake here. Check it out. It's up on the website. Okay. Now, I got tied up. Hold on. Let me, wait. You folks are busy there this morning. John Kennison says, not eating anything? What are you talking about, John? Did you hear what went on in here a little while ago? I sat here. He must have heard. I sat here talking to Margaret and Sherron, and I said to them, oh my God, my stomach's going. It's, Did you? Excuse me, I'm sorry. Ryan is there, and folks, I'm reading these for the first time, right, without proofreading, so please, I hope you took your time. Donna Joseph says, as the old lady that was interviewed just before the last elections, her words were, quote, let Keith stay in his mess because he cannot clean up the mess. The mess is more Sorry, Donna. Take a rain check on that one. Lydia James says, good morning. Arthur Langine says he's listening from Brooklyn. All right, folks, I'm just as anxious as you guys are, so let me take a little break here and come back with the ladies.
Malcolm X is known the world over as a civil rights leader, black nationalist.
The Institute for People's Enlightenment, in collaboration with the UWI Open Campus Grenada, presents the 2019 Commemorative Emancipation Lecture at Norton's Hall, Trade Street, St. George's, on Monday, July 29 at 5:30 p.m. The topic, The Making of Grenada and the Grenada Diaspora, the journey of Louise Langdon Norton Little, mother of Malcolm X, from Gudday Grenada to Montreal, Canada, and to the USA. Presented by Grenadian-born Dr. Merle Collins, Professor of English, University of Maryland, USA.
For more information, email ipeemancipationlectures@gmail.com or call K. Julian Gutu at 459-8967 or Simon Green at 459-1582.
She come from Maryland, Louis Langdon Little, must be remembered too.
Mr. Watts, wait. Why are you removing my sign?
Sorry, Larry, but you can't put the sign on an electricity pole. That is an accident waiting to happen.
Mr. Watts, man, I just finished this new house. I need to put up a sign so that people would know that the apartment is for rent. Why can't I put my sign on the pole?
Larry, you should know better. Think about it. Nails, staples, glue, and signs make it difficult for linesmen to quickly and safely climb poles, and it can delay their response time when there is an emergency. These objects can prevent linesmen responding as quickly as they should in an emergency.
You know, I've never thought about those things. But you're absolutely right.
On top of that, Larry, your sign was covering the pole identification number. What if someone needed to report a fault? The pole number tells Grenlec exactly where the problem is and allows them to respond faster.
Whoa, I really didn't consider all these things, you know. Come, let me help you take this down.
Remember, be safe, be smart. No more signs, banners, or posters on electricity poles.
Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
Studying too hard about back-to-school expenses? Co-op Bank is making back to school as easy as 1, 2, 3. Enjoy competitive interest rates, affordable monthly payments, speedy decisions on applications. Come in and apply today.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and Food Fair Supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair Supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
All right, folks, here we are. Everybody, Tom, Dick, and Harry. That's moi off there on the left. In the middle, there's Sherron, and on the right, Mags. Good morning, ladies. How is all you?
We good.
You is good?
We're real good.
Okay. Mags, at last you guys get together, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming.
Well, patience is a virtue. Virtue is a grace.
Grace
is a lady with a pretty, pretty face.
Yeah,
Remember
right.
that?
You said pretty face? I didn't know that.
Say who don't like to wash her face.
No, I didn't know that one.
Yeah, we used to say the one with the dirty face.
Well, the one with the
And it wasn't simply dirty face. There was a little adjective before that one.
Yeah.
Before the dirty.
Okay. So, Max, listen, nice to see you, girl. I'm sorry that you're here under the circumstances you are. Your brother's not doing too well. However, it's so good to see you and this lady sitting here together. I often wondered what it would be like. I know that in New York, you've been following everything that's going on because you join us on every Thursday. What do you think about some of the stuff you heard sitting here listening this morning? Let's start with PhoneGate. Some people call it cell phone gate.
Well, actually, I agree with the comments of the last comment that you read that the person left on the website. I agree with those comments. I mean, Mr. Scott can't simply think that he can just make an apology and that's, and offer to pay, and that'll be the end of it. There has to be a further investigation. So we caught 70,000. How much have we missed?
Exactly.
Those are some of the questions that needs to be asked, and people have to be held accountable. I mean, I get his apology. He said, he will repay, over in a reasonable time. What is reasonable? You don't get to dictate the terms under these circumstances. And they'll work out a payment plan. Well, $70,000, a payment plan. How long are you going to take to pay it off? What amounts are you going to be paid? I mean, will you be 6 feet under before that's done?
Yeah.
So, it's all those kind of questions that need to be asked. This can be a slap on the wrist and you just walk away. It just doesn't work that way.
Sharon?
I totally agree. I think it's unfair to the general public. And the reality is, if it was somebody else, not politically connected, you have to pay it back. You might take a jail, So I think it's, especially as he came out and admit that he is responsible, what else, and not just in the case of Sheldon, but who else? You know, I think there should be an inquiry, and not done by the people like the fox looking at the keeping the hen safe.
You know, you just raised a very important point, Sherron, and boy, believe me, social media has been a buzz with that. People are asking, you know, hey, how come all we're hearing is about, okay, I did this and I'm going to pay it back, when we're not hearing about charges being laid? Because a lot of people out there feel that if they had done something like that, their butts would have been in jail a long time ago.
You ever look at the rules of FIU?
No.
That the head of FIU should not be politically connected or politically exposed.
Yes, yes.
But when the husband of a government minister is head of FIU, something is wrong. Because as the husband of a government minister, you are politically connected. You know? So that in the first case is wrong. And the fact that that has been addressed by many people and was not dealt with, that too is corruption.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So, yeah.
No, I agree. I agree with Sharon 100% on that. You know, and I'm thinking, I mean, I too worked in the service before I left here. And we know of many cases of people who stole government funds one way or the other. And when these people were caught, they were pretty much thrown out of their jobs. So the question is, why should I now be lenient with you? Simply because you came on and you said, you know, I'm sorry, I'm going to try to pay it back. No, that's just not good enough. And not only that, you weren't even on government business. That's the other problem.
Yeah.
You weren't even on government business.
Now, I know that the NDC has often come under fire for being a little bit too low-key, but I don't know whether or not you guys saw the letters that they put out yesterday. They not only did they put out their usual heartbeat story, but they also put out a letter to the Governor General, to the Commissioner of Police, and as you heard in the piece there, I think they've also written to the FIU and others, and they promise that they're going to be writing to others.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No, I really think that people have to stick on this one. You know, it can be one that gets swept under the rug, as is the usual practice.
Yeah, the 7-day wonder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can, and this shouldn't just be NDC making noise, but it should be NGOs, it should be churches, it should be civic organizations, it should be everybody, because everybody is affected by it. That's $70,000 that could have gone towards education. It could have gone to healthcare. I'm here because my brother is ill, so I've been making numerous trips to the hospital, and clearly that is $70,000 that could have gone to improve services at the hospital.
Mm-hmm. You are a first-hand witness to the caliber of healthcare we have in this place.
Well, yeah, I've had to deal with it pretty frequently within the last 2 years.
That's a story.
Yeah.
That's going to take
That's
up
a
an
story,
entire
yes.
program.
You know, I was hospitalized a couple years ago. Well, you knew of it. I ended up on your program because of the kite. And you know, some people criticize me. They say, "What, you don't want people to fly the kite?" But what they don't know, as a result of me not able to sleep for 4 days in a row, I end up with heart failure. And because of that, diabetes has kicked in. So noise and somebody flying a kite I don't have a problem with people flying kite. I have flown kites. My children fly kites. But you take it down. You don't leave it up for days on end, and now make it with a material that even if it rained, it just run off, you know. And people criticize you for objecting to some things. They didn't realize I am now a diabetic because of the kite. You know, I don't have diabetes in my family, but that kicked in. And while I was in hospital there, I remember a nurse, I wouldn't call her name, but she came to give me an injection, and I asked her, I said, "Why does this hurt so much?" almost like when you get in a penicillin injection. She said maybe the shunt need changing.
Maybe the shunt needs
And
changing.
when I spoke about penicillin, she said, yes, it is a penicillin injection. I said, but it's on my card. I'm allergic to penicillin.
Ouch.
She said, oh God, please don't tell the doctor. She was supposed to give the lady on the bed next to me the penicillin injection. And the lady then said, that was meant for me. Thank God for Reiki. A lot of people don't realize, but thank God for Reiki. I immediately started to give myself Reiki. I got sick, but not bad enough to kill me. But the problems, the mistakes they make.
Well, and just to follow up on what Sharon said, I mean, so Monday morning, my brother was supposed to have an ultrasound. He was not supposed to have any meals before that ultrasound, right? They couldn't do it because guess what? They gave him a meal because nobody told him before that he was not supposed to have a meal.
Wow.
And when they spoke to the nurse about it, the nurse said that she forgot.
She forgot.
She forgot.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. John says, Sherron, nepotism reigns supreme in Grenada.
Yep.
John, by the way, that's John Kennison, and these guys are both in Carriacou. John Bruno says, there should be an inquiry not only into Sheldon, but the others who clearly abuse the system.
Exactly.
This thing has to go much deeper. So said John, well, John, you're right. But come on. First time you're seeing this? Snap out of it. Nah.
It should not be a political issue. If you do something wrong, you've done something wrong. It should not be a NDC or NNP. But one of the issues we have in Grenada is separating government from party. It can be done because you know what? Under Tillman Thomas, it was done. That man was so careful. And you couldn't have a meeting, a NDC meeting, in his office, not on government property. You couldn't. And anybody suggested it, he came down with a hammer on them. So why can't it be done? This sort of thing of using GIS as a party station, that is wrong. I remember years ago on GIS in St. Vincent, the opposition at the time used to have a program on Tuesday. And I asked the then Prime Minister, who was my relative, I said, Uncle Son, why are you giving them all this radio time? He said to me that you have to give your opposition time. And the people have to hear what they have to say because the country belongs to all of us.
Exactly.
It's not just one party. And if they listen, the NNP is affiliated to James Mitchell, Uncle Son's party in St. Vincent. And if they listen to what he have to say, they'll go a long way.
Fitzroy Adams says, Sherron, you are so right. There are people who are defending Sheldon on the radio program. And it's amazing. Although this scandal is still very hot and very prevalent, the man is still doing his program.
Yeah.
All right. Benedict Cador says, we need something legally binding on Mr. Scott. What happens if after one payment under the agreement with the Department of Finance, he decides to stop paying?
Exactly. What happens? Life is uncertain. What happens if he kicks the bucket?
Yeah.
There has to be some restitution. I mean, you just can't simply say, slap on the wrist. No. There has to be some restitution. Somehow, some way, something tangible.
I've come under an awful lot of fire because I'm still trying. I'm still trying to get this guy on here on Sunday. And there are a lot of people who think I'm a nutcase. Maybe I am a nutcase, but I just thought I wanted to hear from him. And, it would be nice if he could repeat what he said the other day. John Bruno says, all that all that has changed, Sherron. We now have public servants conducting political work on government time. There is no separation of powers.
There should be. So I wonder now, what is the Governor General doing about all this?
And it's funny that what that person said. There should be separation. And on a certain level, when the Prime Minister in Canada said, blame the public workers for what happened, on a certain level, I really didn't feel sorry. Because if you hadn't crossed the line, right, he could not have said what he said. He knows the rules of the public service. And everything that he said about the rules of the public service and who they answer to and who's supposed to be doing what, that is true. It doesn't matter that one would argue, arguably so, that he helped to create the culture in the public service. But they have to take a certain responsibility. You need to know where to draw the line. Nobody is telling you that you can't support a party. I'm not one of these people who say that because you're a government worker that you can't have a party. Everybody will have their political choices.
Exactly.
Understand that the minute you step into government property, your party affiliations and beliefs and practices and everything else stays outside.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
It can be done.
It can be done.
I've done it. But you have to be honest, and you have to have the will and the nerve to stand up to whoever is doing wrong and said, hey, that's wrong. I've been asked to do things that wasn't right, and I said, no way. Fire me. I am not doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And I have walked off jobs because they want me to do something that's unethical.
See, okay, that makes you stand out, Sherron, but there are a lot of people out there who are just dependent on this eat a food.
You know something? You could eat a food without them.
Of course
They're
you
not
can.
God. They're not sharing food.
Of course you can, but they don't think that way. They're shut out mentally. The
You
mindset.
think I'm afraid of anybody in Grenada? What they could do to me?
Yeah. Look at what they've done to me. I still hear. Okay.
And still you rise.
Exactly.
And still you rise.
I'm still here. Let me shift gears here a little bit. Spice Mass. Who following that? Who right? Who wrong?
You mean the water issue?
The water issue.
I am solidly, and I responded to somebody on social media. I am solidly in the corner of Montpure, and nothing could shift me.
Are you referring to the practice of excluding them as a bottled water supplier, or are you talking about the incident that happened at the Spice Man's office?
Well, a combination of both. One, you cannot shut out people from making a living.
And essentially that's what the court said yesterday.
Two, the reality is when you look at the list of sponsors, the other water people are not on the list of sponsors. So why should they get preferential treatment? Three, the way the guy slammed the door on her hand, I hear people say, oh, she should go into acting career. You know what it is to get your finger slammed in a door, your shoulder? You know the amount of pain that lady must have been in? I was telling somebody I had a pain on my hip the other day. And it was so weird because I was feeling it like in my chest. So if you slam her hand and she limp, you don't know her pain? So all the people out there who came out and all these things they're saying about the lady, you don't know her pain?
Yeah.
And the guy was wrong to.
Yeah, I agree with Sharon, and particularly for people who talk about her hand being hit, but she was limping.
Come on, even that I found amusing.
But here's the thing. We forgot something too. He didn't simply close the door. He closed the door and then she was down on the floor. We do not know when she fell what got damaged.
Exactly.
So there's that. On the shutout issue, I had like a split thing, but as I said, I'm not familiar with the law here and what practices are. So my thinking was, and I think I had said this to you earlier too, is that in a closed environment, for example, if Spice Mass had a function within the enclosed walls of the stadium, for example, you could have one sponsor's products being there.
That's if they're sponsors.
Okay, fine. I mean, but I said, so there's that. Where I was drawing the line, because the impression I was getting that on the street and street vendors also had to sell the competitors, the sponsors' water, and that is where I had a problem. If that was the case, I had a big problem with that.
You know something I learned last night? Monk Pure, apparently a sponsorship is $12,000 or $12,500. Okay. Now, as all of us know, every year, Spice Mass is in the doghouse. They need money, 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 money. Okay? And they were shutting out Mount Pure, another water provider, just to give exclusivity to another company that was prepared to pay $12,000. And I have not been able to confirm this yet, but I understand that Mount Pure was willing to pay oodles more. Okay? Yeah, $12,000. Apparently that's what it states for a sponsorship.
Okay.
Well, maybe the other, as we know, the other party is politically connected. So you come right back to the politics.
Yeah, everything Grenada is in politics.
Right back to the politics.
Benedict Cador says here, I just wonder, why didn't Mount Pure go straight to court? What did she think would be resolved by going to his office? That's a question people are asking. This woman had just held a press conference to tell the media, we have filed an injunction. And then you're going to march off and go to the man's office? Hey, come on, man. Come on.
I see nothing wrong with that.
I see nothing wrong with that. I see nothing wrong with going there.
A lot of people do see something wrong with it.
Yeah, and fine. That's all well and good. We're not going to agree on every single thing. But I think we're also forgetting in this is that Spice Mass Corporation is not a one-man owned thing. It is owned by the public of Grenada. It benefits from the tax-paying public of this country. So you can't tell an ordinary citizen that they cannot go into those offices. You just can't. Sometimes people forget what their rights are as taxpayers, but when I am paying my tax money, I have certain rights with that.
I think that was one of the best advertisements for Mont Pure.
Oh boy.
Because the reality is, I will not use the other company's water. I will not. Because they lied and say that they were sponsors. I saw the list of sponsors that was published. They are not on it. If they were sponsors, they would have been on the list. And the water is not all that good anyway, to me. It tastes like it's been in a cask, like rotten. I made that complaint on Osprey. No, I made that complaint on Osprey. I bought a bottle of that water because I was on the boat. And I had to give it back to them and say something's wrong with that water. It smelled like cask, like it come out of a cask. You know a cask, a wooden cask? So I would drink Mont Pure anytime. As a matter of fact, I order Mont Pure.
All right,
and
they're sending you the bill for the commercial, eh?
Yeah. I'll pay that bill to advertise on you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to contact her and ask her to advertise on you.
Okay, ladies, listen. Boy, I am so happy to see both of you. Look at these faces. They're both smiling.
Life is good.
You guys are very, very dear to what we try to do here on Grenada Broadcast, and I thank you so much for the loyalty that you have displayed to the people through the platform. Appreciate it. And Sherron, maybe you should pop up on Make We Chat one of these nights,
Well, seeing that Margaret is here, how about tomorrow?
Yeah, good.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Actually, Mags, you're going to come in and do it here tomorrow?
Sure, I could do that.
Yeah.
Sharon, because I think she's living on the way.
Yeah.
So pick her up.
Okay, we'll work that out.
We'll be sitting here.
We'll work that out.
Okay. And then Beverly is going to be at her home Jerry is in St. Vincent. Dwyer is in where St. Kitts.
St. Kitts, yeah. And Athie in
Athie's
Dominica.
in Dominica.
Yeah.
And God knows who else will join us. People show up from the weirdest places from time to time. Eh?
That's true.
Yeah, yeah. All right, ladies. I thank you so much. What are you going to do now for the rest of the day?
Well, I have to go to the hospital.
What time?
So I gotta bring my brother lunch, and I gotta bring him. I had some clothes for him, so I gotta get that up there.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll see you sometime this afternoon.
Well, I could move about. I could help you out this morning. I have a birthday cake to make. My grandson is going to be 7 tomorrow, so I have to make him a birthday cake.
Calling herself a grandmother. Huh?
Boy, I have 7 grandchildren. My oldest grandson, my oldest grandson is 13. Yeah, they range from 2 to 13.
Neat.
Wow.
That's great.
How many you got?
In the making still.
You somebody taught you how to do it, eh?
Exactly.
There are twinkle in her eyes.
Okay, just before I close here, let me see. Emma Ventura says the best tasting water in Grenada is Mount Pure.
Thank you.
Kipling Francis says things have become so political, it's out of control. And it's so sad that the freeloaders are in the pockets of the wrongdoers. Susan Ross Moore says, Lady in Green, why do you have to put politics? Why everything has to be political? Why can't we accept the fact that SMC screwed up? Okay. Benedict says, I can support Mount Pure as a business, but despite having the right to go to any public office, nothing was solved by going to the office. Betty Ann Court says, my people, tell truth, live truthfully, and equal rights and justice for all. Thanks for those words of wisdom, Betty Ann Court. Okay, ladies, you go do your running around. My regards, Margaret, to your brother. And I'm going to take a little break here right now. And we'll come on back and wrap it up.
Conveniently located in the Grand Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grenada will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Easy living should be convenient. With Grenec, it is. Dial 237 for any Grenec department, or for customer service, streetlight outages, or if it's unsafe to trim a tree near a power line. For streetlights and service issues, please note the pole number. From just about anywhere, you can also check your bill balance and other account information. Just keep your Grenec access number handy. Dial 237 for Grenec. It's that easy. Grenec, energizing our Grenada.
Studying too hard about back-to-school expenses? Co-op Bank is making back to school as easy as 1, 2, 3. Enjoy competitive interest rates, affordable monthly payments, speedy decisions on applications. Come in and apply today.
Alrighty, folks, time now for Georgie Porgy to, you guys caught me this morning with a tummy that was a little bit aggressive there, and I'm going to go and try and feed my face. I'm going to try and do that as soon as I get out of here. Before we go, a parting word from, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, parting word from the Holy Scriptures, so I want you to hang in there with me for just a wee bit. Today's reading comes to you from the first book of Peter chapter 5, verses 6 to 10, short and sweet. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may lift you up in due time. Cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you. Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Resist him, standing firm in the faith. Because you know that the family of believers throughout the world is undergoing the same kind of suffering you are. 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 6 to 10. All right. Georgie Porgy is now, therefore, going to hightail it. I certainly hope you have a wonderful day for the rest of the day. Hey, rest of your life. Hey, thanks a lot for keeping us company. Do appreciate it. By God's grace, we shall see thee again tomorrow morning at 9.